Okay. Hey, Jason, thank you for joining us tonight. And could you tell us a little bit about yourself, your name, and where you're from, and a little bit about your background?
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Clyde. It's an honor to be here, and it's great to be part of a movement that's taking over our nation like wildfire and helping people become free. A little bit about me is my name is Jason Ian, in actual fact, of the family of Schaefer. And we can jump into that a little bit more detail later on, but you can call me Jay. Born and grew up here in the country. Went to college out here, UCLA, and graduated and as an actor, a writer, and a director from the School of Theater, Film, and Television over there, working out in Hollywood and um, making movies and writing and teaching and critical thinking and education on my spare time and all sorts of cool things. And then fast forward, traveled around the world a couple of times here and there, and then fast forward to a couple of years ago, and all of a sudden this thing happened that everybody took over the world, and as a result of that, questions were being raised, and bottles of red pills were being taken by me, and I discovered that everything, having coming from Hollywood, everything being a facade, well, the world is a facade. And the country was founded on a lot of facade. And I realized from a spiritual point of view, as well as from a inhabitant point of view of the country, that what we were believing we were, who we were, was not true. And living in a fraudulent matrix world under a false government with which was truly a private for-profit corporation, having created fictional entities to be subjects of their corporation for pure profit. And having realized that, unbeknownst to myself, I was one of those entities, I went, well, that's not cool. I want to be who I truly am, which from a spiritual point of view is a living, breathing child of God, a soul. And when I realized that, I went, I'm going to go down this path of freedom because it's who I've always known myself to be. And this path of a declaration of independence or repudiation or setting myself free from the corporation called the United States was a path not only on a national level, but also on a spiritual freedom. And the two go hand in hand. And I'm excited to do it. And it's changed my life, and it's helping me change other people's lives so they can remember who they are, not only spiritually, but as a byproduct of remembering who you are spiritually, you remember who you are on a international and national level too. And now you can start creating a true world where you can be free with other people in a community that are also free. That's
So,
how the intention of the country was supposed to be.
so how many how many different teachers have you been going through, and what's your history and how you started to find out about this, and why you ended up with where you are now?
The good thing about this journey towards freedom is that once you take your first dose of a red pill, we'll call it, everything starts opening up, and you just get bombarded by information from everywhere, and there's teachers from everywhere, and everybody has insight about everything. And you have to find the ones that resonate with you. And the ones that resonated with me, after going down this path and seeing all the different pathways to what appeared to be the same goal, I needed something very specific and very direct. And when we discovered, me and others that I work with discovered David Straight, it was, as the name said, straight. It was there. It covered the history of the country. He brought in some spirituality of it, brought in biblical origins of law, brought in biblical origins of the foundation of the country, and then so started from the beginning to present time, and it encompassed an entire history. And for me, it made sense because I like to do research, and I delve deep into research. So I like to go to the beginning. I like to go to the source, and not talking about religion, but talking about source, biblical source of what this country was founded on, which was founded on the creation of God, as a maximum law that says that which creates is in control, and that which creates is your creator. Therefore, the only one that's in control of you is your creator. And in the image of God, we are made. And when you realize who you truly are, you realize that the fraudulent um, legal fiction, as David really brought it out very clearly, is not who you are. And once you are able to delve down onto this path, you can start going down the path of returning to who you are, as a free, living, breathing man or woman, a soul that was gifted to you by your true creator, which is the only one that has control over you. And once you realize that the supreme law of the land is that which is creator God, source energy, then the corporation is null and void, and everything else just opens up, and all the documents, all of the administrative remedies, that's all just the icing on the cake, because David helped me realize that the true path is going back inner to who you truly are, and then everything else just kind of falls into place.
Wow, that was great. That was freaking great. That was really, really good. All right. Yeah, you answered everything about David and the whole essence of it. That was beautiful. How do you see this working in terms of transitioning our country from where it is now under the control of this fictitious corporation? How do you see this movement being able to help us get out of that? How are we creating a new model from the bottom up? How do you see that?
It's a great question of how do I see this movement of returning to who you truly are and how it will shape the country. You know, as an actor, as a storyteller, as a director, there's a thing called bookends, and great directors Spielberg and other great directors are really prominent about bookends. And a bookend is, let's say, and I'll give a quick example, like let's say at the very beginning of a film, you're introduced to a watch, and we'll use a watch as an example, and it's a gold Rolex watch. And then the whole movie goes through the beginning, the middle, and the end, and you kind of forget about the watch. But as you're going through the journey of the watch, the movie, you realize that there's significance of this watch. It had a history of the main character. It came from, a lineage of whoever the father of the main character was. And then all of a sudden, when you get to the climactic point of the movie and it's coming to the resolve, they go, oh, that watch that we saw at the beginning that was buried under the tree, they now end up that last scene at the tree where he discovers that watch and it was his father. And that's the answer to the whole riddle. And now we've got the bookends. So what's the bookends in this journey? Well, the bookends of this journey is you were created by source energy. In the image of God, you were created. Now, all of a sudden, there's been 250 years minimum, but really tens of thousands of years of an infiltration of a false entity, a false story that somebody believed that they were something they were not, created by an infiltration. And now everybody, the planet is waking up just energetically. And now all of a sudden, a byproduct of that awakening is people going, wait, the government's a lie? Everything's a lie? Everything I knew was a lie? Who I truly am is what? A living, breathing man or woman, a soul created in the image of God. And now I can repudiate and get back to that. And now it's the bookends. We started from in the beginning, all you were was an image of creation of God, man, living, breathing soul. Now, as you start repudiating, the whole point of repudiation is to go back to what? The beginning, that you are created in the image of breathing man or woman, a living soul. And the repudiation is just the instrument to get you to where you were at the very beginning, the bookend. And our country's foundation was specifically for that republic, for you to be a living, breathing man or woman, where you were born with unalienable rights, such as pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness, which cannot be taken from you. A right cannot be turned into a privilege, which with the false government tricked people into believing that they had a right to a privilege to make a living, which is a lie. You were born with that right to make a living because God granted you the land, the air, the water, and everything on it. So go fish. and make your house and feed your family. It's your unalienable right. So as more and more people repudiate and remember who they are, we go from where we were at the very beginning. Now we're at the end, which is a living, breathing man and woman, only to create a new beginning. So there's the bookends.
Okay, that was fantastic. Do this for me, okay? What you just said, only put it in, if you could put it in terms of create, you use the word create, so we could create. The creator created us
Mhm.
because he wanted us to be creators like him. That's what created in the image of God means. God
Correct.
created creators. And
Correct.
now, and what we've allowed to happen is we've gotten lazy and we've allowed these actors to come in and be in between us and God and our
Correct.
ability to create, to be creators. And now we're taking that back. We are the
Correct.
creators,
Correct.
and we're not going to let them keep us from creating anymore. Something like that.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So the beautiful thing about where the country is going, if we were created in the image of God, and as that maxim of law states, that which creates controls. So if we were in the image created by God, then we are microcosmic of God, which means we are micro creators, which means we, as we return back to our true self, a living, breathing man or woman with a soul to create, we will now create what it was intended to be created in this country. Deviation, a freedom from the false actors called the false government who created false entities, and returning to what the pure intention was at the beginning, the bookend, which is to create a republic free, where we can create a world how we want to, a new beginning. We don't have to go backwards. That system is broken. But we, as image and creators of God, we now create the new earth, which is awakening now, and therefore a new country where we live freely as living, breathing men and women, united peacefully together off the fruits of our own labor provided to us by our creator, known as God, spirit, whatever you want. So that's why everything in the physical is a beautiful step towards our further spiritual awakening, which the repudiation is just another tool to go to create a new earth together.
Awesome. Okay. You this is all gold. George isn't going to know where to cut and stop. But one last question, because I like asking this, and whatever comes to you. What is it about the state national movement that excites you the most, that you love the most?
And the thing that I love the most about this movement, really, it's less that it's a movement of individual men and women becoming free from a corrupt government, and it's more about individual women becoming free to empower and sovereign themselves, returning to who they truly are as a creator being of God, and then uniting together, not only here nationwide, but internationally around the whole world. You're seeing it, and it's this movement where people are returning to the love to unite together as one living, breathing, conscious being for the one conscious intention, which is freedom. Freedom to be, freedom to be free. The repudiations, the independence, all these things that you're seeing protests, these are all beautiful stepping stones to the new earth of a new awakening where everybody's truly living a heaven on earth together in harmony. That's what I love about this movement is because it's providing that conduit, that instrument for everybody to come together and create that new earth now in this lifetime. That's what's so exciting about it. So it's a beautiful blessing that we can be living in this time.
I'm going to stop it right there.